Nauvoo, South Jersey is pleased and honored to welcome Nicole Lannutti, recipient of the Women Under 40 in Business Award. Welcome, Nicole.
Thank you so much.
It's so great to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Your resume is so extensive. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Sure. I graduated with an undergrad from Temple University. I got my master's at Rowan University. My undergrad was in advertising. My master's was in PR. I've held positions in the advertising industry. My most recent job outside of self-employment, I was director of marketing at a rehab firm. After a few different paths that kind of led me to self-employment, I am now owner of two businesses based out of Washington Township. I have the Craft Room and Made of Paper Design.
So what is the Craft Room?
The Craft Room is a DIY workshop. We opened in 2017. It's a creative space. It's an art studio. We do workshops and birthday parties and girls' night, date night. We do art classes, all kinds of different projects and workshops that you can take. It's basically like Pinterest comes to life. In 2020, when we basically shut down, we were not able to have classes anymore. We didn't really know the fate of what the business was going to be since we were a gathering place. So very quickly, we had obviously a very short notice to be able to change our business model, to be able to stay alive. We have a lot of different one-of-a-kind handmade items. We do a lot of home decor, custom projects. So we're half and half now, but the most important thing is that we still are alive.
So you kept saying we. How many people are on your team?
So it is a true family-run business. I am a sole owner. It is not a franchise, but of course my husband's involved. I have two kids that are always in the store, my mom, my aunt, and of course, like, between my parents and my husband's parents, there's always somebody either watching the kids or cutting wood or coming to help run classes. Everybody that works for me is pretty much related. So it really is a true family
That could be
business.
a good thing or a bad thing.
It is. I mean, I grew up in family businesses and it was like normal, like my parents are my next door neighbors. I didn't go very far. But when it comes to be able to run the business, it really does take a village to, you know, with your kids, people say that, but when you're in business for yourself, we definitely couldn't do it without. So.
Okay, but you're still a woman running a business. You're still our under 40 recipient of this award.
40.
So what do you think is the biggest challenge of a woman starting out in business?
It definitely is more work than you will ever do working for somebody else when there is no clock out, there is no off hour. There's a lot more work that needs to be done having your own businesses than being under someone else's punch time. But it's very rewarding. It is a struggle when you have to, all of us, meaning like small business community, everyone is very short-staffed. So when you have to make up that extra time when you already don't have that time, it's definitely one of the struggles of being a business owner, that there is nobody else to be able to, you know, rely on or fall back on when
it's a
you
huge
need
challenge.
to. Being a woman in business, it's not, there are its challenges, but I think a lot of community support comes out of it as well. Being, you know, in a small town instead of over a larger city life, I guess, is very helpful. There's a lot of resources, and I mean, luckily for me, when we came into Washington Township, there was a whole slew of people to be able to help with if I needed to find a bank or if I needed to find resources or supplies. Our little community we have is very helpful for that.
So tell us a little bit, what are your values or business ethics that are important to you as a leader?
So to me, one of our main things that I went into this wanting to do was to be able to give back when we can. Going into this, like I said, we had a tremendous amount of support, family, friends, community, and prior to going into business myself, there were a couple businesses that we frequented that had this really good give back policy and a lot of community support, a lot of community involvement. It's definitely something that I wanted
What do you consider your greatest accomplishment in life?
Probably being able to do what I can with my family. Being able to be a business owner, but again, do the things for my kids that I need to. I bring my kids as much as I can because
That's awesome.
they are it for me. They are 100% my biggest accomplishment. But to be able to show them what I do and the reason I do it is hopefully one day they'll be able to, have those same morals and stuff.
Give us one recommendation for a young entrepreneur.
Go for it. Definitely go for it. I look back on, again, going back to I would have done it sooner had I known we could do it. You'll never know if you could do something if you don't do it. We didn't know what was going to happen, especially coming out of, like I said, a secure position. And when I left there, I actually got laid off is what had me leave the position. There was an option to possibly come back with a new budget. I chose in that meantime not to. I have a special needs daughter who we received a diagnosis in that portion of time where I was laid off. So that was a little kick to be able to stay home with her. It was a very unknown. We still don't really know too much what the future holds. But to have that option, that gave me my open door to do this.
Tell us a little bit about the Blackbird Foundation.
So back in 2017 into 18, when we got the diagnosis for my daughter, we actually got a diagnosis for her in 2016. She has a very rare genetic mutation. When we got her diagnosis, she was only one of 48 in the world, and only one of 18 female. So
that's daunting.
It was interesting. So it's an X chromosome related, so girls and boys are very different. She was only one of 18. The geneticist was one of the top doctors in the world, and they basically gave us 7 pieces of paper. They don't really know what to tell us. So we have a Facebook group of a bunch of parents. We're now up to 100 and I believe 16 or so cases in the world. We learn from each other as parents. But in the state of New Jersey, a diagnosis like autism is legally recognized places, but genetic mutations are not. So to be able to get her therapies and equipment that she would have needed, it's a very long process. So they didn't think she would ever walk. She does now, thankfully. She started walking when she was 3 years and 4 months old. But prior to that, we were trying to get her a gait trainer to try to help her walk. And because of insurance and because of the way the laws are in the state of New Jersey with special needs, it took us about 8 months to be able to get one. By the time we got it, we were going to go pick it up at CHOP. She started walking 3 days before that, which was wonderful, but we got the gait trainer. We picked it up anyway. We gave it to another family. Their child started walking. We took it back. We gave it to another family. Their child started walking. It's been great.
The traveling walker.
It is. And now another family in Washington Township has had it for a couple of years. But the idea of doing that kind of sparked this idea. Me and my husband started the Blackbird Foundation. We are working to provide medical equipment and therapy services to special needs children whose family is fighting with insurance.
Do you have a website?
We do. It is blackbirdfly.org. It is currently under construction. Even though we're a couple years in, the paperwork, the medical and the legal, because it's a lot of medical equipment, is quite extensive. So we've been working on that. And we want to do a lot of fundraising prior to be able to start taking applications. Medical equipment and therapy services are beyond astronomical, and most things that the average family can't afford. So before we start taking public applications, we've been doing a lot of word of mouth trying to get some equipment here and there. But we don't want a family to apply and we don't have the funding to be able to supply something on demand. So our very first fundraiser was scheduled for June of 2020.
Of course it was.
Of course it was. So that was a wash. And then in 2021, we still weren't really, the world wasn't where it was. So we are hoping, we're in very early stages of planning that hopefully we can do a fundraiser this June. It'll be our first one. But we're really excited to finally get the things off the ground. But 1122 is her actual gene mutation. So maybe 2022 is the number, so maybe this is our year to start doing that.
It is your year.
I hope so. So hopefully we can get that up and running this year, but it's something that's very important to our family, another family affair. Our board of directors is some of our very best friends and our family, and we're looking forward to be able to continue that this year.
Well, we wish you all the best
Thank you very much.
on this journey, and I'm sure it's going to be
Thank you.
very successful. Thanks for
Appreciate it.
sharing this with us.
Thank you.